Hi, this is Matthew from the Office of Instructional Technology for Anne Arundel County Public Schools. And today we're going to look at how to set up a writing portfolio in OneNote. Now, just in case this finds its way to YouTube or something, we are setting up for a specific scenario. We have a middle school classroom that currently uses Google Classroom for all of their assignments. So all of the writing assignments for the students are currently housed in their Google Drives. However, there's nothing quite like OneNote in Google for setting up portfolios, so we're using OneNote in OneDrive, and we're specifically using the version online in OneDrive because these students are using Chromebooks. The procedures we'll go through will work pretty well for other scenarios as well, but that's our particular scenario. So we're going to start on our ClassLink page, which is what your Chromebook should open up to when you log in. And I'm using a desktop, so some of the kind of perimeter of my screen will look a little bit different than yours, but for the most part, your screen should look mostly like mine. Alright, so I'm going to click on OneDrive, and since I'm logged into ClassLink, that should get me automatically into OneDrive. OneDrive is a storage space on the cloud, just like Google Drive, but we're not actually going to use OneDrive. We're just going to OneDrive to get to this plus new button right here. We're going to create a new OneNote notebook. So click on the little drop down arrow and choose OneNote notebook. So this is actually a digital binder, and I'm going to call this one my writing portfolio. You should probably put your first and last name. So my first and last name are Matthew Nickerson, but I know that I already have one with that name in here, so I'm giving it a different name. It's my writing portfolio. Click create. So again, this is a digital binder, so this binder will have sections and pages as well. Okay, so I can have pages within my sections and sections within my notebook. So there's a few different versions of OneNote. This is the online version, and so everything kind of makes sense. I'm in a binder, and here's the only section, because I haven't created any more. I can add new sections by clicking right here. Within that section I have one page, and I can add pages to this section by clicking here, and then I will get a list of untitled pages within that section. And if I create another section, I have to give this one a name. So for now, we'll just call it sample. Alright, so now I have one untitled section that has 2 pages in it and one section titled sample that has 1 page in it. So we find that it's best practice to create your OneNote notebooks in OneNote Online. It doesn't have all the tools that the desktop version does, but it's the best place to create them, because now that I've made it online, I can go to any computer and open this and then click on Edit in OneNote. And if I'm on a Windows device rather than a Chromebook, I can open the full version of OneNote. And that's what I'm going to do right now. So the class in question that we're designing this for is actually going to the computer lab to do this. So they're going to create it in OneNote Online, and then they're going to click on Edit in OneNote. If you have a choice between OneNote 2016 and OneNote that doesn't have the date, do choose 2016 for today. If it is checked to always open, please uncheck that. Don't lock yourself into that right now, but do choose 2016 if you have a choice. Okay, so this often has to be done more than once. Okay, it's not unusual when you're downloading this for the first time, and it's the first time you've used OneNote, it's the first time you've used it on this device, and you are downloading a new notebook from online. Sometimes it just doesn't work the first time, and you have to close and go back in here to the internet and just click on it again. So this is my untitled section and my sample section. All right, and the reason that we need to come to the desktop version while we're setting it up is because we have 2 levels of organization. I've got sections and I've got pages. The desktop version is set up differently. These are all of the OneNote notebooks that I've opened on this device before. My sections are over here rather than being in another column. And then my pages are in a column, but they're all the way here on the right. So the online version has notebooks, then sections, then pages. Oops. And the desktop version has sections across the top. I'm going to get back into my writing portfolio. And for this class, we're going to actually have 3 sections, but before we add the sections, we're going to add some section groups. We want one more level of organization, and we can only do that in this desktop version. So you have to right-click, okay, click the right mouse button on a tab and choose new section group. And my section group is already highlighted, which means I can start typing in there to give it a name. And we're going to call our first one 6th grade. I'm going to do that again. Right click, add a new section group. This one will be 7th grade. And finally, guess what's next? You got it, 8th grade. So right now I have a group of sections, or a section group, called 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade, but there's nothing inside of any of those. So I have one section, and if I right click on it to rename it, I can rename this one Claim Evidence Reasoning. Hit enter. There we go. If I click on here again, I just know that this is the longest thing that I'm going to have to type, so I'm going to copy it because I'm going to do this 2 more times. But first I need a new tab, and this one I can right click on it and choose rename, and this one will be literary. And last section is narrative. So claim, evidence, reasoning, literary, and narrative. I'm going to go up 1 level. Now I'm going to go to 7th grade and do the same thing. And here's where I'm going to paste that long one. Next up, literary again. And finally, narratives. And I will fast forward this video for you as I do the 8th grade one. So now I have a 6th grade section, a 7th grade section, an 8th grade section group. And inside of those section groups are 3 sections. Okay, so I no longer need these 2, so I'm going to right click and delete. It asks me if I'm sure. Yes, I am sure. So at this point, I am really done with what I can only do on the desktop version of OneNote. So I'm going to minimize this, close here, and let's see if I click, I don't even need to click refresh. It is mostly caught up. It is mostly synced. It does have my 6th grade group with sections inside of it. It just still has these unneeded tabs. Let's refresh this. There we go. Now our online version has synced with our desktop version. All right, so now we've just created the structure. So what are you going to use this for? Well, this is where you're going to put your writings. So if they are currently in Google Drive, this will actually work a little smoother for you than it will for me, because if you are logged into your Chromebook, then when you go to Files, Google Drive is where your files are going to be. All right, so I'm going to have to model this with my OneDrive, because I have OneDrive set up on this device, but not my Google Drive on this particular device. So let's say I have a narrative that I've written in 7th grade, and I want to add it here. So I'm going to go to my narrative section, and I have this untitled page. Click down here. This is to name the page. I'm going to click down here into the body of the page. Click Insert, and then File Printout. So File Attachment and File Printout will both put a link that you can click on to go to the actual document, but File Printout will also print a copy of that document here. So if you created something in Google Docs, you'll be able to see the entire document here. I'm going to do File Printout, choose File, and in my case, OneDrive, you'll simply go to Google Drive. We'll grab a document, click Open, and click Insert. Okay, so here's the link to the original document. In your case, this would be a Google Doc, and here's the actual finished paper. This is an image, so this is not editable. If I need to actually edit it, then I'd have to go back to the link and go to the original document. Okay, so this is essentially a picture of the document. So you are using this as a portfolio. So this is not where you would house a live document that you're still editing and haven't turned in yet, or are in the revision process for. This is for your completed papers. So I have a link to it and the actual document itself. Okay, and that's how easy it is to add to your portfolio. At this point, I can go ahead and type in the name. So you can go back if you have items from 6th grade that are still in Google. If your teacher last year used Google Classroom and you have those in Google Drive, you can retrieve those and put them here. Anything that you're working on currently this year in 7th grade. And if there's things that you don't have a digital copy of, but you have your paper copy of your writing folder, you can actually take pictures of those pages and then insert those pictures here just by clicking on the picture icon. Other things that you can do now that it's in here is you can grab a highlighter and mark this up, grab a pen and mark it up as well. And you even have the ability to, whoops, let me turn my drawing off there. If I come back out here and click Insert, if I choose a location outside of that image, record audio is no longer grayed out. So if I'm inside that box in the image, that's grayed out. If I come outside the image, I can record audio. So I can now begin taking notes or making comments so that a year from now, 2 years from now, when I look back at this document, I can give it some context. I can explain what the assignment was. I can explain what I was trying to accomplish. I can talk through what recommendations my teacher made. Right? So you can add an audio commentary to go along with your document in your portfolio. It might be useful, rather than having a recording at the end, to have it kind of next to. So right now, you see I can't scroll over any further, but if I take a box and I move it over here, notice as I move it, my screen starts to get longer. So now I can raise it up and put it next to whichever part of the document I want to make a comment about. So now that I have some space over here, I can click out here and go back to audio and click record. So now I can contextualize my audio. That means I'm talking about what's right next to it. I have my audio recording up here that I can play back. I can stop that, scroll down. If I want to talk about this next part, I can make a new recording right here that has to do with this part of my document. This audio recording piece is completely optional. All right, so just some extra things that you can do in a digital portfolio that you obviously can't do in your paper portfolio. You can't do an audio recording in your paper portfolio. All right, those are the main tools. You got some other fun things that you can do in here, but the process of moving from your Google Drive to your OneNote notebook, pretty painless once you get it set up initially. Hopefully today what you're doing is you're in the computer lab with the desktop version of OneNote, and you're getting the section groups set up, because the section groups can only be created in the desktop version of OneNote and only by right-clicking on an existing tab. And once you have created them, then you can be done with the desktop version, and everything that you need to do, you can do in OneNote online as you move from your paper-based writing portfolios to your digital writing portfolios. Good luck!